All right, folks, so now that we've made a selection, often you don't want to send a client this file name. There'll be a requirement potentially for your submissions. There'll be a requirement as well. So what we're going to do is batch rename. So to batch rename, it basically just refers to renaming all the images. So first of all, we want to make sure the images are in order. If you want to change the order of an image, you just click and drag like this, and it will change the order. Sometimes it's easier to just increase the size of the browser, and you can click and change the order. So if I want to have these two together, maybe I want to have these two together, you can change the order. Now for courses, if you're following the instructions of a exercise in Studio and you shoot it out of order, just make sure you reorder it in the program before you batch rename. Command A to select all, make sure that everything is renamed, and get it in my selects folder. And I'm going to right click and choose batch rename. Now I'm right clicking over here, by the way. And there's a whole crux about the batch renaming. So I'm actually trying to zoom in a little bit if I can. Yes, I can, to show you guys a little bit more about this. So the method we're going to use is text and tokens. I'm just going to erase all this first. So remember that we gave our shoot name basically a submission name. Okay, now there's two ways you can do this. If you have a submission requirement for a course, you can physically just type it into the format. So Pearson T ingest, for example. Okay, so Pearson T ingest. And what we can do then is add a number series. Just don't actually type in a number, because as you guys can see, this is the sample below. Each file will be called Pearson T ingest 2. It won't be like 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be 2. So just make sure you're not typing numbers in there. Next, we're going to add a token, and a token is what we used for naming conventions and things like that. So again, 3 dots in the input area. There's a bunch of tokens down here, so you guys can add a bunch of different information to the file name. So you can add a digit counter, the address, the altitude, the whole, anything basically from the metadata. Look at all this craziness. We just want a digit counter, and I'm going to choose a 4-digit counter right now. Some courses will want you to have 3-digit counters, some 2. Okay, so you can modify this anytime. So if you need files to be 0, 1, just a 2-digit counter. In fact, let's just stay with the 2-digit counter. Click and drag this to the bar up here. You'll see a plus, and it will add, and click OK. Now in my sample, I have a digit here. Mine starts at 5. The reason for this, and everybody forgets this, so just keep in mind, is the rename counter has to be reset if you want to start at 1. So if you make a mistake, you have to come up here and go to Reset Rename Counter. 3 dots, more options. So at the top right-hand corner, it's the options for the whole dialog box. Click on this and choose Reset Rename Counter, and this will start at 1. When you click Batch Rename, I'm just going to zoom out now. Everything will rename. Look at that. All my files have now been renamed with the proper naming convention, and if I show these in Finder now, I can see that all my images now have the new file naming convention. They're in the order. They have everything I have here. If you guys make a mistake or want to change that, go ahead and batch rename again. So if I want to batch rename a second time, maybe I do want a different counter. Maybe it's not last name, first initial, ingest. Maybe it is last name, first initial, C1, ingest. Oops, I made a mistake. Don't forget to reset the rename counter, folks. Very important, because everything will start at 10 if you don't. Rename. There you go. I've batch renamed them again. Now another method of batch renaming, because we've named the session name our submission requirement, so this can be a bit easier as well. So let's go to batch rename again. And instead of typing in the name here, what I'm going to do is erase this, go to my tokens, and I'm going to find, let's see if I can find session name. Man, there's quite a few of these, isn't there? Session ID. I'm going to drag this here. Nope, that's not going to work. I apologize. We actually want document name. There we go. And you'll see document name is the session name. So that's the name of my session. And there isn't a space. So I literally just have to click in between the two and hit space. And I guess I'll have to re-add the rename counter. So we'll go back to 2 and we'll come up here. Click OK. So it's just another way to have the session name added for you. This, though, relies upon you spelling the session name properly and we're creating it properly. So I myself am not a fan of this. Reset the rename counter. I like to type it in personally because things change. Honestly, I find it's a lot easier, but that's the other way you guys can do it. That is batch renaming, folks. There you go. Sorry for the SCTV effect there. And yeah, that's it.